Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, on another episode of Let's Paint, we focus on Stormcast Eternals, the Lightning Warriors of Sigmar. And in this tutorial, I'll be showing you how I paint my own personal storm host that I've been working on. I still have yet to come up with a name, so if you would like, shout me out some ideas down in the comments. And with that in mind, let's get on to the tutorial. As with all my models, I'm going to start off by giving it an undercoat. Here I'm going to reach for Stynylrez Res Gray, which I'll apply with an airbrush. The settings are 50 psi with a 0.3 millimeter needle. And I'll go around the model about twice, giving 2 thin coats to get a good coverage without clogging any details. And if you don't have an airbrush, no worries, just grab a rattle can and give it an undercoat. And with the gray undercoat dry, we will move on to base coating the model with Army Painter Fanatic plate mail. I'm going to apply this with an airbrush. I'm going to use the same settings as before, which is going to be about 50 psi with a 0.3 millimeter needle. And with the base of plate mail dry, we are going to move on to laying down the foundations of the gold. Here, I'm going to reach for Hoplite Gold Speed Paint from Army Painter. I really love this gold. It is quickly becoming a staple in my paint set. As you can see, it goes on very smooth, one coat, pretty good opacity, nothing to worry about. A lot of people want to use the kind of the gimmicky speed paint, one and done, but I use this actually just base coating and it works fantastic. You get a very smooth, very solid base coat. And you may notice that I'm using some new brushes here. I had the pleasure of getting my hands on some Artis Opus Series S brushes, and I must say I quite like them. They're really similar to Series 7 by Winsor & Newton, but they're a little, not as springy, I would say, but very, very lovely. I actually like them quite a bit. And one thing I noticed about them was they seem to work great with both like speed paint type paints, like contrast and speed paint, as well as regular acrylics. When I use my Series 7s, I often found myself switching to a synthetic brush to apply speed paints or contrast paints, as they seem to flow a bit better. But using one brush for both has been nice and refreshing. And with the gold layer dry, we are going to move on to base coating the leathers. I'm going to grab myself a K 3rd Generation Afro Shadow, which is a lovely saturated dark brown. It's part of their new Intense line. And we're just going to go around and give a nice base coat to all those leather pieces. And with the leathers base coated, we are going to move on to shading the plate mill portions of the model. And I do apologize, my video got corrupted on the initial application of the wash, but I do have the rest of it here. And as with all washes, you're going to apply it heavy and then wick off the brush and go back and suck up excess wash to give you a nice smooth finish without pooling or staining. And with that wash dry, we will move on to shading the gold areas. And here we're going to reach for Army Painter Fanatic Wash Strong Skin Tone. This is a lovely wash that will give both depth and a little bit of warmth to the gold. And once again, we are going to be applying it heavy, wicking off the brush, going back and sucking up the excess. And once that wash is completely dry, we are going to move on to adding some highlights to the plate mail areas. Here I'm going to reach for Vallejo Model Air Metallic Aluminum. I really like this paint. It's thick but thin. It's very hard to describe unless you've actually used it, but it is fantastic for doing edge highlights, and it is a very bright silver. We're going to go around here and hit all these sharp edges, and then you can add some dots and nicks here to give a little bit of battle damage and some character to the plate mail. And with the plate mail done, we are going to reach for our gold highlight. Here, I'm going to use Army Painter Fanatic True Brass. We're just going to do the same as we did with the silver. We're going to hit those sharp edges, and I don't really add nicks or scratches with the gold. You can if you want to add some more battle damage to it, but I am a little more sparing with this highlight as it's trying to mimic the light reflecting and getting some true metallic metal here going. Here you can see with the shield, we're treating it pretty much as a cylinder, so we're really hitting these main highlights towards the center of the shield and a line from the top to the bottom to really accentuate the height of the curve of that shield, if you will. And with that done, we are going to move on to doing the midtones for the leather parts. We are going to use AK 3rd Generation Dark Rust, and we're just going to go around and hit the edges of all the leather parts. And just a reminder, if you like what I'm doing here, please drop me a like, subscribe, and share with your friends. My plan is to always keep my content free. I don't plan to have a Patreon or any subscription-based services. I just want to give back to the community that has provided me with so much content over the years. So if you are able and want to help the channel out, please, by all means, subscribe and share. And with the brown midtones dry, we're going to move on to do the final highlight of the leathers. And here I'm going to reach for AK 3rd Generation Tan Earth. This is going to knock back the warmth a little bit and give a bit of appearance of worn leather to the edges. And with that, the leathers are done, and we will move on to doing the white portions of the model. We're going to reach for AK 3rd Generation Pale Gray. We're going to apply this pretty heavily, as you can see, but it goes on quite smooth and quite opaque, even for just one layer. I really love this color. It's what I usually reach for whenever I'm doing any kind of white on any model, or if I'm going to apply a off-white base coat for speed paints, as you'll see I do with the face here for our flesh work that is coming up. So with the white space coated, before we go ahead and do the highlights, I'm going to reach for AK 3rd Generation Wine Red. And I'm just going to use that to do some rough Stormcast runes located around the model on their scroll work. We're going to do a rough fill-in of the actual rune itself, and then we're going to grab some pale gray and go back and help sharpen up that brushwork, sharpen up that rune there. And here we'll reach for that pale gray and just go back and sharpen up these runes. And with that done, we're going to go ahead and add the script to the scrolls. And to do this, we are going to take AK 3rd generation rubber black. We're going to get a nice fine tip on our brush. We're going to angle the model so that you are pulling the brush down towards yourself. And with that, we're going to use a stippling motion, as you can see here, to get some nice fine scripture going. And don't worry if you have some lines that are thicker than others. When we go back and do the actual white highlights, we can kind of tidy that up a little bit. And if you find that the paint is not flowing well off the end of the brush, go ahead, take it, reload it, twist it, get a nice tip on it again, and get back to doing your stippling. Take it slow, take it steady, and you'll do just fine. And with the script work done, we're going to go ahead and grab AK 3rd generation white, and we're going to start really making these white parts pop. So we're going to take that white and we're going to apply it mainly to the edges around the scroll, on the cape, and you'll also notice that I will use it to clean up the scripture work a little bit and make a little bit sharper in areas that I needed to. And with the whites done, we're going to go ahead and start working on the face of the model. I like to do the whole face of the model at once and then go back and finish the rest of the model. So as always, when I'm working with Caucasian skin here, I'm going to take Army Painter Speed Paint 2.0 Aged Hide, and we're going to give a good base coat to all of the fleshy bits here. And then as you see here, we're going to apply it fairly heavy and then wick it away to get the nice smooth finish, just like we do with the washes. And once that speed paint is dry, we're going to go ahead and apply stubble to the model. We're going to do this by taking Army Painter Fanatic Jasper Skin and mix it 4:1 with any black that you so choose. And we're going to go ahead and apply this anywhere there would be stubble on the model. So here, in this case, we're going to do the top of the head, the sideburns, the upper lip, and just along the jawline where his beard is. that's double done, we're going to go ahead and start highlighting the face. We're going to reach for Army Painter Fanatic Tourmaline Skin and just hit all the areas where the light would catch. And we're going to focus this mainly on the front of the face to help draw attention to those areas. And now we're going to take Army Painter Fanatic Leopard Stone Skin and finish off the highlights on the face. We're going to try and focus these mainly on the areas that the Tourmaline Skin is, but do not cover up that entire previous layer. This will give us a nice highlight and blend between the two. And with that, the highlights on the face are done, and we are going to go ahead and paint the earring that he has. And for this, we're going to start with a dark base coat of pure black, followed by a quick highlight of plate mail. And with that done, we're going to go ahead and start working on the gem that he has there on his forehead. We're going to grab our Army Painter Speed Paint Hoplite Gold once again and just lay down a quick base coat. With that done, we're going to go ahead and start working on his beard here. We're going to start by giving a nice dark base coat of AK 3rd Generation Dark Gray. This is going to give us a good base coat to kind of work up to pure white. And with that base coat of dark gray done, we're going to reach back for our AK 3rd Generation Pale Gray. And we're going to flip the model upside down so that we can drag the brush towards us, avoiding a lot of those details of the collar. And we're going to start doing some simple lines of this pale gray to start giving the illusion of hair here. And finally, we're going to reach out for our AK 3rd Generation White and go ahead and finish off the final highlights on the beard here. And with the beard done, we're going to go ahead and start working on the blue glowing eyes and gem on the face to help really draw some attention there and give that illusion that he's just brimming with electrical power. So we're going to grab AK 3rd Generation Dark Blue and base in the eyes and the gem. Now with that dry, we're going to go ahead and reach for AK 3rd Generation Deep Sky Blue. And we're going to go ahead and put that right over the dark blue base coat to help start working on that illusion of glowing. Now to finish off that glow, we're going to reach for AK 3rd Generation Sky Blue, and we're going to apply that once again inside the previous layer of Deep Sky Blue. And this will finish off our glow effect. And with that done, we're going to reach for our Army Painter Fanatic True Brass and just outline that gem, clean it up a little bit, and get that glow nice and centered. And as you can see, we got a little bit of that gold underneath the gem. So to help define it and clean it up a bit, we're just going to reach for Army Painter Tiger's Eye Skin and apply a shadow under that gem and really tighten up that transition between the eyebrow and the gem. And now to finish off the face, we're going to add a little bit of warmth to that bottom lip by grabbing Army Painter Fanatic Pink Potion and just applying it to that bottom lip there. And with that, the face is done, and we are ready to move on to doing the glowing runes and blue portions of the model. We're going to go ahead and reach for our AK 3rd Generation Dark Blue and just start boxing in all these runes. Now, once that dark blue is nice and dry, we are going to go ahead and take AK 3rd Generation Deep Sky Blue, and we're going to water that down with a little bit of the AK 3rd Generation Thinner. It has some flow improver in there just to help let this run into the runes. Whenever I'm usually using flow aid or thinners, I'll try and use the actual medium that's made for the paint. Sometimes you can get some weird reactions if you don't. You can always use water too, but I usually like to use the proprietary thinner that comes with the actual paint. But you'll see here I'm keeping it pretty thin so that it'll run pretty easily into those runes. Don't worry if you get it a little messy. We can go back with that dark blue and help tidy it up after. Now I believe this is about 3 coats of that wash. I let the previous coat dry, add another one, and did that 3 times. And now I'm going to reach for AK 3rd Generation Sky Blue and repeat the same process. Now, once that sky blue is nice and dry, we can go ahead and reach back for our AK 3rd Generation Dark Blue and just go back in and redefine some of these runes. And don't worry if you're a little bit sloppy, like here I am a little bit. I'm going to go back with the plate mail after and then tidy up that blue layer itself. Now we're going to grab some AK Camouflage Elastic Putty and just use that to mask off some areas before we apply some weathering to the whites. You can also use Silly Putty if you have it. A lot of people like to use that, and I'm just using a sculpting tool here to make sure I get a nice tight line where I want to keep the areas clean. And with the masking putty in place, we're going to go ahead and reach for the airbrush and load it up with some thinned down AK 3rd Generation chocolate and just give it a nice dusting to the bottom of the model here. I'll use the same settings as I did before, which is the 0.3 millimeter needle with the 50 psi. And I usually apply 2 thin coats around the model, making sure that I get all the nooks and crannies. And with that done, we're going to grab a pair of tweezers and just go ahead and carefully peel off the masking putty here and get to work on the base. And we're going to take that same paint, the AK chocolate, and do a base coat on the base here. And once that base coat is nice and dry, we're going to reach for AK 3rd Generation Tan Earth and apply it with a small dry brush, working our way around the model about once or twice with that dry brush. With that dry, we're going to go ahead and reach for our AK 3rd Generation Dark Gray and just box in the rocks here. You can also use it to get some of the pebbles on the base to have a nice effect where you're kind of breaking up that solid chocolate colored base. And once that dark gray is dry, we're going to go ahead and reach for AK 3rd Generation Rock Gray and just give a dry brush all over the base with that, both the chocolate areas and the dark gray areas to help unify those two colors. And as always, I'll then go ahead and grab a black of choice and finish by painting the rim of the base black. And with that, the model's done, and we're going to apply a nice protective coat of gloss varnish. And we're going to use this to not only help unify all the different finishes of the model, but it will also give a very nice, tough gloss coat to protect the model when you're handling it and using it in games. And make sure you allow that gloss varnish a good 1 to 2 hours to dry. Some people will even let it dry overnight before applying the next step. And now the finishing secret here to help knock down that gloss and give your model a nice smooth finish, which will help hide any imperfections or brush strokes. We're going to hit it with some VMS satin varnish. Usually I use matte varnish, but here I'm going to use satin because the majority of the model is metallic and it'll help preserve that sheen and give it a nice rich finish. And as a final step here, I'm going to go ahead and grab some Army Painter Wilderness Tufts. You can use whatever color you want, but here I like the green that brings a little color pop to the base. I'll apply it with a little bit of super glue and some tweezers, and then I will go ahead and take some eyebrow scissors and actually trim it down to make it a little bit more in scale with the model. And with that, the model is finished, and he is ready to go onto the battlefields of the Age of Sigmar. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. This one was a little bit longer than the others. If you guys like the length, let me know. If you want me to cut it down more, let me know. I know some people seem to like to actually watch the brush strokes and see how it actually is applied. But, let me know. I'm open to suggestions and hoping to just grow the channel. And as always, like, subscribe, and share. And tell me what you want to see in the future. I have a new painting set up. I tried to make it a little bit more friendly for recording so I can try and get more of these out. I love this new Lucent light I got from Game Envy, I believe it was called. But I'll put the link below to the new light setup. And yeah, really, really enjoy it. And here's the finished model. Thanks again for watching.